if y'all can hear it, nothing I can do about it. I have no control over outside noises. And it's not a coincidence that shortly before 2 p.m. on a Sunday, because the devil knows we go live with Let's Just Chat on Sundays around 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So this is why we want to be as less predictable as possible. However, that's rude, I know, but that's not a coincidence. It just started up literally 10 minutes before 2 p.m. They started making noise out there. So, that being said, out of my control. Y'all know what's up. Y'all know how the devil rolls. Y'all know how the narcissists are. They rude, and that's fine. But it's a hotel. Nothing I can do about outside noises. There's aircraft, there's motorcycles, all kinds of stuff. So it is what it is. But we're going to talk about how narcissists love to use fear-mongering, because I got an email today. And it was from a scammer, spammer, whatever, and all about trying to instill fear. And I thought it was hilarious. So we're going to talk about that, but let those notifications go out. As those notifications go out, I am going to go ahead and do our usual engineering work. And yes, I was going to do the Revelation Bible study today, but this came up. And I said, that's okay, we're going to get to it. I thank y'all for your patience and understanding that we did not do the Bible study yesterday. We had a very good detox day, I have to tell you. And so we needed some self-care. It was glory be to God. Okay, just another breakthrough in our detoxing, and it was major. So we took care of that, and then I had some errands to run this morning and all of that. And so here we are, and we're getting it figured out, getting things done. God got us gearing up for practice run number 2. Y'all know what that, those of you who have been with us for a while and you hear me talk about practice run, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, because we have already identified some monitoring spirits now. God says, time for us to get ready to go. Yeah. So we're working on that, and I'm excited because it's getting us closer to the goals, you see. And so no matter what the devil tries to do, sending me emails trying to instill fear, it's not going to work, because we all know that perfect love casteth out all fear. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and take care of that real quick. Notifications going out. Take a couple minutes, I know. All right, let's see. We got that and that. All right, there we go. And I've got chat up here. I'm going to monitor the chat right here. Monitor the chat on the other device. And I do see the number discrepancy. It happened. Digital demon. You know how it goes. But anyway, I got an email from someone trying to say that they hacked my stuff. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because they told on themselves. They said that they got access to my surveillance camera that I don't have. Duh. So y'all gotta pay attention to this stuff. These idiots, they tell on themselves, trying to say they got access to my surveillance camera. I don't have a surveillance camera. So don't fall for that stuff. I knew, I was like, yeah, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Wow. But that was totally to try and instill fear. You see, because the enemy can sense when we're not living in fear. You know how the narcissists, they just don't know how to act. When they cannot get an emotional read on you, especially if they don't sense any fear, they don't know what to think. They don't know how to act around you. They don't know how to act around chosen ones who are not living in fear, because we realize, well, we live inside, it's a matrix out there. We're a glitch in the matrix. Chosen ones are glitches in the matrix. Imagine that. So we speak openly about that. I talk a lot about the game of narcissism on the world stage for a reason. So I know the Jezebel case studies, other Jezebel stuff like that. I want to check in on these live streams because they're looking to see how we look, looking to see if there's bruises. They want to see if we still sound nasally. They want to see if, detoxing does what it does. Okay, so it's just every day progress, each and every day going forward, right? You know how I tell y'all, keep it moving. Keep it moving. We don't allow minor disruptions, if you will. We don't allow those to slow us down. We keep it moving. We find ways around that resistance. So that cold bag, that if any of you have not jumped on over to the Patreon channel yet, I highly encourage y'all to do so. Those links are in the video description below, because I just gave a nice story about how I had to go get my cold bag. Well, it's not built to withstand constant usage like that with ice, I guess. I don't know, but it got a leak. Oh well. So we got rid of it, but we replaced with something else that better. Remember, God always has better for his chosen one. Okay, God always has better for his chosen one. Don't forget that. He's going to make sure that you are taken care of. Let him guide your steps. When I realized that cold bag got a leak in it, I said, okay, I know what we got to do. So, exactly. And then as part of our practice run number 2, there were a few things that I had to get. Okay, I had to get me another tote. I had to get some other things and that. So, anyhow, yeah, I had to replace the cold bag with an actual cooler, but it was the same size, and it's going to we're excited because we know that it's going to serve a lot better. And that being said, as far as how much longer we're going to be here, we don't know. Okay, so y'all be ready. All right, be ready with me. Be ready with me, because we've got something in the works. Okay, but I had to downsize, but I had to figure out how I'm going to hang on to something and keep them stored somewhere. So we're working that out, and it's all good. It's all good because, like I said, this practice run is getting us a little bit closer to our goals, and I'm very happy about that. So it is what it is. Like I said, it's in the spiritual, and so we just got to get it into the physical. And the Lord told me, he said, yeah, he said, whenever we start to spot monitoring spirit, if we are taking up, let's just say, well, the Lord is our refuge, but if we are residing or staying in different hotels, then we need to switch it up a bit more often. That's it. We just need to switch it up a bit more often, because once you start noticing monitoring spirit, then that's when major head games are going to start to evolve. And it's nothing new under the sun, because they're just trying to instill fear. So that's why I want to talk about this, so you all understand that fear is the foundation for abuse. I have a video that I did some time ago on this channel where I talk about the truth about fear. You can look it up. Okay, it's on this YouTube channel, and it's a redo. In the title, it says redo, the truth about fear, because the first go around I did live, but we got spiritually attacked. Okay, and the audio was a little fuzzy. I left it up so you can still see that, and as an example of what a spiritual attack looked like. But then I went back, and God told me, he said, take the microphone, external microphone out. He said, old school it. He said, old school it and do a pre-recorded. And so that's what we did, the redo, truth about fear. Because fear is the foundation for the abuse. If you are constantly living in fear, then eventually what you fear is going to happen. This is another reason why we're going through the renewing of the mind. Because that transformation, there's no room for fear to be transformed. There's no room for it. There is no room for fear in the kingdom of God. Absolutely not. There is no reason to be living in fear. But see, that's what the devil wants. He wants everybody living in fear so they're easier to control and manipulate, aka abuse, and play head games with and keep them stuck inside a comfort zone. Oh, we don't want to come out of that comfort zone. So they never take a leap of faith. So they're not living by faith. Like chosen ones, we walk in and live by faith. We know that God always provides for our every need. He takes care of us. He always has. He always will. But narcissists love to use fear-mongering because it works on them. And see, some things used to work on us. See, I want to tell y'all something. I remember, God revealed it to me, and I remember when I was living with the ex-psycho roommate, and I didn't realize it at the time, but the fact that I was not living in fear like all the time, I know I wasn't, because I was like, no, we're just going to go with the flow, right? Get stuff done, handle what we can handle, but not going to stress over things that, well, it's just no reason to stress over it. And so I started to grow and evolve even then, and putting away childish things. And believe it or not, living in fear is extremely childish. And God tells us that we got to put those things away. So when you have access to God, God is love. God is that perfect love. And God casted out all fear. Glory be to God. And once that happened, that's it. There's no reason for us to be living in fear. We don't have that kind of mindset anymore. We got to change that mindset. For those of you who are still working on that, you better keep going. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Because overcoming trauma triggers. Okay, when you overcome those triggers, that's part of God casting out that fear as you overcome triggers. Think about it. Those triggers are used to try and make you fear that trigger again and again and again. But you got to stop. You got to overcome that trigger. Oh, that same old, same old. And so you keep your autonomic nervous system calm. When you get, there's no reason to be living in fear. And I'm going to tell y'all something. Your ANF can operate independently of you. Yeah. And the devil knows that. That's why the Jezebel case study had to do what she did to re-traumatize my ANF just enough to where it will still have those kinds of responses. But I'm highly, and I mean highly aware of them. And I'm the one that parent that inner child. I'm like, no, that's not a threat. That's not a threat. And eventually, my inner child gets a clue. You see, so being aware of it responded to anything that it perceives as a threat is a fear response. And I can feel it. Okay, I can feel when the ANFs are doing that. And I'm like, it's not a threat. And Mama got you. I said, Mama got you. Mama got you. It's all good. I ain't no reason to fear. No reason to fear. But narcissists, because they live in fear, they want everybody else to be in fear with them. Same concept. Misery loves company. So they're going to do what they got to do to try and drag you down there with them. They want to drag you down in that low vibration with them. They want you to stay there in the low vibrational narcissistic matrix with them. They okay with you as long as you stay there. Yeah, because that is where the devil can continue to kick you while you're down. See, when you vibing high up here, the devil can't kick that high. I want y'all to put that in the comments below. I want you to say the devil can't kick that high. Because he can't. And when we say high vibing, that's a mindset. It don't mean we're out here all bubbly and stuff. No. It's a mindset. Because your thoughts are spiritual power. It's a mindset. That's how you vibe high. And you don't allow outside stuff to take you off of God's path. To take you off of the narrow path. You don't allow for it to. So for those who are new, I am Rochelle Dickey, your host for CHA, Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel, Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center while combating radio frequencies for healthier living. So, as we continue to expose the red flag, and we talk about this because you got to be mindful, okay? That these spammers and scammers and things like that, they're gonna send you emails. They try to instill fear. And then of course and then you're gonna get some that are gonna email you, and because of the demon of desperation, they're gonna think that they're gonna tell you, hey, your YouTube channel has great content, but there comes the devil. because they want to sell you a service that you don't need. So be mindful of that. I'm like, really? God don't care about them numbers. That's not what God's looking at. God says, where's that heart at? God says, where is that heart at? Are you putting the shopping cart back and the shopping cart return? That's integrity. God's looking for that. Are you putting the trash in the trash can, or are you just throwing it on the floor? That's what God's looking at. He's looking for integrity. Where's that heart at? Where's that heart at? That's what God's looking at. And he sees all, because he's omnipresent. Remember that. So let me get to the comments here. Yeah, they checking in. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. I know I went through a season where because of I didn't know that my hand, I didn't know the bruising that was there. I didn't know it was there, so I didn't realize that my hands were contributing to a lot of things, and then my hand-eye coordination was a little off. And so I went through a season of, let's just say my makeup was not as professionally done. I came across those videos. I said, oh, well, it is what it is. But I thank you for understanding. It was it was a season of serious discovery and, and I just, because I had a lot of muscle tension, I had a lot of stiffness going on. I didn't know it was there yet. And so it was just like a whole nother ball game. But thank you. I appreciate that. I said, they're looking in to see if you're still looking, and you are. Thank you. I appreciate that. And okay, yeah, the freezer bag, okay, when you go to the store, you look for the sporting goods section, okay, outdoor section, and you can find all kinds of different like lunch bags and coolers, and then the cold bags. You find all kinds, okay, there. And yeah, typically a cold bag will definitely do that. Like if you go to the grocery store and you have stuff that needs to go in the freezer and you have a bit of a distance to go and it's warm outside, that's really great for those as well. So you put all the freezer and cold items inside that cold bag, zip it up, and it will keep till you get to the house or wherever it is you stay. And so yeah, and it does. And yeah, okay, so if you've got a freezer in serious need for a defrost, then yeah, one of them cold bags, they're not that expensive. You can get you a cold bag and your freezer stuff in there for the time that you need to defrost that freezer. Oh, you good. You good. Yeah, you good. And so when we talk about narcissists love using fear-mongering, well, yeah, it's another thing of projection, if you will. Because they're the ones living in fear. They can see that we're not. It's that spiritual energy transfer. They can sense that we're not living in fear, chosen one. They can sense it. And it drives them even crazier because they don't understand how we're not living in fear. And they are. So they got to project it outward. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I don't know that they're trying to cope with their fears. I think that they like them. That's where I'm at in the discovery and the spiritual awakening and observing narcissists. Now they live in fear, and so I don't think they cope with it at all. I think they like it. I had one admit that they liked feeling depressed. They thought they knew how to deal with that. Wow. No, that's crazy. That's crazy. But they wanted to feel it. They wanted to feel the familiar spirits, those negative emotions. They wanted to feel those. And I was like, wow, that's not normal. And clearly, yeah, they're not trying to cope with that fear. And you got to remember, there's a lot of them who don't know that they are living in fear. I even had the Jezebel that gave birth to me claim that she wasn't living in fear, only to turn around like a day or two later and talk about being worried about this and worried about, I'm like, wow, you got the demon of worry. You living in fear. Y'all pay attention to that. If you hear somebody, if that word comes out of their mouth, they got the demon of worry, that means they living in fear. Because if you're, if you're not living in fear, and I mean truly not living in fear, then you ain't got nothing to worry about. You ain't got no demon of worry. Well, see, because walking and living by faith, you can't be living in fear and it's not going to work. The devil knows that. In order to walk and live by faith, you cannot be living in fear. Because walking and living by faith just means you trust God. And that you ain't fretting. I'm not saying that we don't take caution on some things, but we're not sitting here worried about that bill. We know that God's going to help us. God, listen, God's going to come through every single time for his chosen one. But I'll tell you, that's the other thing with fear-mongering. And I've noticed this is a pattern. Remember, y'all, patterns tell a story. And I love this because I know, about where we're at every few months. And some of these places that I do business, I have a bill with, like my phone bill especially, they crack me up. I'm like, you always do it around this time every few months. Like, you think you're trying to scare me, because normally you should be sending me that notification like every month as a reminder, but they don't. That this amount is going to be paid on this day, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I know that. I know that because it's set on auto. So I know that it's going to be paid. And they'll send me the notification via text message like once every few months. And I'm like sitting here going, okay, whatever. Trying to instill fear. It don't work. I'm like, okay, I know that. Thank you for the reminder that you're supposed to be sending every month, but yeah. And then all these spammers, y'all, this is hilarious. This is hilarious. And I get it on my business phone too. I get it on both phones, okay? Toll violation. Y'all, I don't travel the toll roads. At least not in this season. At the time of this recording, I don't travel toll roads. So I think it's hilarious. They're trying to instill fear. Like telling me I got a toll violation. No, I don't. I've not been on any toll roads. I mean, it's crazy, but it's the scammers and the spammers out here trying to scare you. I'm like, no. And then I've had one on Instagram trying to talk about something about my Facebook business page. They're trying to instill fear with it. I had two different ones. I reported the second one to Instagram. I said, this is a spammer trying to act like admin. Because trying to say we violated some community policy. No, we didn't. We ain't doing nothing like that. Because we know that God is a righteous God. And the path we're on is the righteous path. So we're not out here breaking rules and things like that with community. We keep things clean in this ministry. Okay, we keep things clean. I'm even the one that keeps telling y'all, anybody who needs help getting rid of that potty mouth, you can do it. I know every once in a while we slip. I have done it too. Yours truly. It's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. But yeah, we do. But they trying to instill fear. And we don't fall for it. That's the thing. It ain't gonna work. It don't work. It does not work. And so the hoovers that we get, the narcissists, remember that. When they hoover, that's another way they're trying to instill fear. Think about it. How did you react the first time you got a hoover from the narcissist? The nervous system responded not so well, huh? Exactly. That. You got to overcome that. The narcissists are not trying to cope with their fears. No, I think it comes to a point where they're so crept and unaware they're living in fear. And then I think there's those who like living in fear. Because think about the adrenaline addiction. Narcissists are addicted to their adrenaline, and living in fear feeds their adrenaline addiction. It keeps them running on their adrenaline. That's the only way they feel like they're alive, is running on their adrenaline. And we know that can be very dangerous. Absolutely. And so you call it a emotional vampirism. Oh, another word that ends in ism. Yeah, okay. So, yeah. I see that. I see that. Okay, hold on a second. I see comments and stuff coming in, but you know how the devil is trying to play. Yep. I got to go on over here. I see your I'm getting to them. I'm going to get to your comments here in just a moment. But my thing, I had to turn the Wi-Fi on over here. Yeah, it's been one of them days here. So that way I can get your comments. All right, here we go. Okay. Yeah, and then the psychological. Well, emotional and psychological. Absolutely. Because if they try and instill fear, that's going to play on your psyche. That's what the devil wants. Got them head games. All about them head games. And thank you for putting that. The devil can't kick that high. I want to see that in the comments on the replay too. The devil can't kick that high because he can't. Okay, so we're about having to defrost. Okay, well, listen, you set a goal, you work towards it. It'll happen. Remember, as long as we continue to rest in the Lord, He will grant our heart's desires. It might not be overnight, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And that's it right there. I got you on that. I got you on that one with the bills, with the credit cards and stuff. It's like, yeah, I mean, see, what? Yeah, you'll get your money when I get mine. There you go. That's it. It's that simple. You'll get your money when I get mine. Amen. So let it. Yeah, okay, an expletive slip in private, okay. I know, I hear you. We're human, okay. And so with that, the narcissist, it is a strange dynamic. It really is, because they deal in fear, and they enjoy fear. Yeah, that's why I said I think there's a lot of them who like it. They like that. And I get it. I get it. So, well, yeah, the adrenaline rush. That's what they don't let go of that. They won't let go of that. The narcissist will not let go of the adrenaline addiction and the adrenaline rush. They love that adrenaline rush. They don't realize that that's childish, and we got to outgrow that. I can tell y'all, whenever something's trying to induce an adrenaline rush, I'm just like, no thanks. No thanks. I don't need it. Because chosen ones, as we grow and mature and evolve like we're supposed to, that's right, we lose that. Okay, when I was younger, in my like late teen, early 20s, very early 20s, I did like a scary movie. Yeah, sitting on the edge of my seat, right? I used to like it. That's the key, used to. Now I'm like, never mind. I'm like, never mind. I don't need to see that again. I don't want to see that. No. Anything I can sense trying to get me to run on adrenaline, I'm like, no thanks. You can sense it, that spiritual energy transfer. You can sense that pull. They trying to pull you, right? Trying to pull you down. Trying to get you to run on your adrenaline. No thanks. No thanks. We got it. We overcome that. We're supposed to. We're supposed to grow up and evolve away from that. 1 Corinthians 13:11. We put childish things away. That's right. And fear is one of those childish things. Because you know what? The more you learn about the world being a stage and that how all this stuff out here really, there's a lot of stuff out here that don't matter. A lot of stuff out here don't really matter. There's a lot of fake stories, fake people like the narcissists are fake. And you start to realize that, man, wow. When you learn how they engineer and manipulate the weather using radio frequency, come on now. My question about that, if any of y'all got an answer this for me. I'm in the process of working out the salvation with God about this. I know movie props and all of that. But the one thing I know when they manipulate the clouds, aka, you know, chemicals, when they manipulate that and the sunshine and the rain, I figured all that out. But how do they manipulate the humidity? That's why how do they do that on the world stage? I've noticed it, that where I'm located in Florida, it's very unique because the humidity goes up in the evening and drops during the day. How do they do that? Because that's not normal. They doing something out here that raises that humidity, and I know why. Oh yeah, raise the humidity in the evening. Most people will turn their AC down because it gets too hot, and that air conditioner is part of the radio frequency poisoning, and the frequencies from it. But then if they sleep in it, right, the humidity can cause people to break out into a sweat, and that will disrupt their sleep. So I know all of that, but how are they doing it? I mean, it's not like the humidity, it's not like it's on a remote control. I mean, and using radio frequencies, okay, but there's something else to it. And so, yeah, we'll bring that to the Patreon channel too. Because I've been wondering how they do that. I said, I know how they do the rain, the sun, the chemicals, all that, but, and the temperatures, but I haven't figured out the humidity part. But they do. They raise that humidity, raises it in the evening, and then drop during the day. Very interesting, because you would think with the sun, when the sun's out during the day, you would think the humidity would be up. No, they've got it backwards. It's quite the opposite. I've been noticing that. Interesting. But anyway, you know, the fear-mongering is a real thing. And all these fake narratives and stuff out here, all to instill fear. Think about the subliminal messaging that the fake news media uses. They want you to think things are bigger than they really are. So they use things like, they use words like catastrophic. Yeah, that's all to instill fear. And other things that just, wow. And we realize there's a lot of that's staged as well. When you understand Project Bluebeam and green screen, blue screen to edit video, come on, how easy it is. And so how they always making it out to be a lot windier than it really is. It's a drama to them. All that drama and chaos and stuff, right? Keep people fighting against one another. That triangulation out of fear. Yep. Trying to instill fear. So I call them out on it. I'm like, no. And it is something to watch when you have one of these grown adults that comes at you, and you can tell they living in fear. And they got these wide toddler eyes, like, ah, like it's such a big deal. And you're like, really? Do you know that's fake, right? Yeah. So, shows when we learn that we are the glitches in the matrix, because we're like, nah, man, we're going to call it out. We'll call it out. Like, you know why some of that fast food out there is so addictive? Corn syrup. Corn syrup. Corn syrup is very addictive. Devil knows that. So that's why. And all the salt. A salt high is the same high that you get with cannabis. It's the same exact high. Hello, masters in forensic toxicology. Okay, the mechanism, another word that ends in ism, mechanism of action of those substances on the brain. It's the same euphoric high. A salt high and a cannabis high are exactly the same. Exactly the same. What does that tell you? Okay. The cannabis is just a fancy term for whatever salts they be smoking out there. Smells like pollen. Pollen is dust. They smoking dust. Yeah, and it's salt. And they doing it for the salt high. A lot of people don't realize that, but salt, yeah. And I will tell you the reason, through this detox, I've discovered that. But I was like, oh, like when I went to that one place, I share more about it on the Patreon channel. I went to one place for dinner. I'll never go back. Yeah, way too salty. And I felt the salt. I felt the head rush. But then quickly it dissipated, thank God. Because I was like, wow. I said, that's one heck of a salt rush. So a salt high. And then all the radio frequency bzzz, supposed to zap that high in place. So that you be out there like, hey, yo. Buying on impulse and all of that. Basically cooking the brain. And the inside of your body. So become aware of that. And that's part of the wisdom that we're getting. God's wisdom. You cannot triumph that. Just like we talk about Proverbs chapter 8. We're going to get to more of that. I'm bringing some of that to the academy for y'all as well. Fun fact videos, short Bible studies. Oh yeah. You name it. And then it's not like you see them out there with a device. Witchcraft, okay. Well, I was asking about how they manipulate the humidity like that. I would say, well, witchcraft, well, yeah, I mean, the game of narcissism really is a game of witchcraft. So, yeah, okay, that plays a role. But how? I mean, they can't just chant the humidity up and down. There's something else. There's radio frequency involved. There's something. Gotta be. There's gotta be. So radio frequency is involved, but I'm curious. Like, how do they do that? And the more cloud cover, not necessarily. That's the thing. But I thought about that. I said, what, do the clouds rolling in overnight like that? If that was bringing the humidity. Well, I mean, humidity comes from moisture, but then the air, the temperature of the air. You would need sunshine. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's backwards. That's why I was like, make it make sense. Because you would think with the sun out during the day that would be the most humid part of the day. And it's not. Not here. Not where I'm at. I've noticed that. The wind is nice and cool throughout the day. But then the air quality at night is very humid. So, okay, so because that's why fear-mongering. Chris, that's why fear-mongering. It was a priority to bring us news. Your parents would watch the news religiously. Why? Because they feed off of that fear. It's giving them the adrenaline rush that they crave. It's feeding that adrenaline addiction. That's what that fear does. They love it. They eat it up. They don't realize that they're being deceived. They're the deceived doing the deceiving. They don't realize they're being lied to. But as long as it feeds their fear, they fine with it. And so they want to, yes, it does. Well, it's not just cannabis that causes psychosis. Excess salt does too. Kids don't like the news. There you go. And the grown-ups love it. Yeah? Why? And do we know all that doom and gloom negative stuff? No, we don't need to know any of it because a lot of it, if not all of it, is made up anyway. If you are glued to the news, you're glued to lies. You are being deceived big time. And that'll mess you up. That'll pollute your brain with a bunch of lies and keep you living in fear. That's one of the things that when I went down the rabbit hole, and I ain't alone, that we learned real quick how much that stuff is staged on the world stage in order to instill fear, trying to fear-monger, to keep people easier to manipulate and control. That's why I tell y'all, like I said in the beginning, fear is the foundation for abuse and traumatization. Keep people traumatized by keeping them living in fear. That's the only way you're going to keep them traumatized, keep them living in fear. Because that autonomic nervous system, the inner child, at some point, and I don't know exactly when, and it could vary for everybody, but for narcissists, at some point, that's it. Their ANS is like, done. It's not even going to try to cope. So, it is what it is. They're going to continue to live in fear. Now, again, a lot of the narcissists don't realize they're living in fear. And once we realize that it's for no reason, yeah. Because we co-create our reality in God's reality. It's that simple. It doesn't mean we out here breaking rules or anything, no. It just means that we don't fall for the same stuff over and over again. We don't let things instill fear because there's no reason to. So many things that we've been lied to our whole lives about. We purge that subconscious of all of that. And we don't allow the stuff out here that's trying to instill fear do that. We don't allow it to confuse us either. Remember, God is not the author of confusion. But y'all got to remember that if you sense it at any time, somebody talking to you and they trying to instill fear, walk away. Tell them have a nice day. Because that's their problem. Yeah, if they trying to instill fear or they trying to tell you something, you can tell. You can tell. Because they all hyped up about something and oh my gosh, and you blah, 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 blah. And you can tell the negative component there. Thank you, have a nice day. And walk away. You're allowed to do that. You ain't got to stand there and listen to it. No. They're trying to instill fear. You ain't got to stand there and listen to it. And leave them. That's a big part of Matthew 8:22 right there. Letting the dead bury the dead. Leave them where they at. They want to keep living in fear. That's on them. We leave them there. Leave them where they at. Let them do that. But don't let them do it to you. So, right, back to the humidity now. I just now saw that comment. Well, I don't know. I don't live, not that I know of, where I'm at now. I'm not close to like the Everglades, but there are areas where there's like man-made, it's not really ponds, but you can call it that. People aren't supposed to be fishing in them, but they do. Anyway, that could be because of this area. That could play a role. The steam. Thank you. Yep, the steam after the sun been heating up that water all day and the steam rising. Yeah, I can see that. I can see how that plays a role. And then use radio frequencies and things. I don't know what movie props might be involved in that, but yeah. Yes, I have seen some alligators on my walks Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're inside those little man-made ponds. Mm-hmm. Now they don't come running after us. It's just you can see them when they come on up. I saw one, the top of his body was just on the bank of the pond, if you will. His tail was still in the water. And then another day, I saw one, and he had come all the way. I don't know if he was, I guess he crossed the walkway from the wooded area, if you will, but I saw him walking. And yeah, he walked and going down the bank into the water. And I thought, okay, well, you weren't paying no attention to me. No, nah, no, and no reason to fear them. No, because they looking for something in that water. They want that water. I've seen a lot of big wild turtles, it seems. I've seen several of those. Mm-hmm. Now they do, when I walk by them, a lot of times they go into their shell. I'll just say, hello there, boop, into their shell. I was like, that turtle's scared of me. Why? They ain't got no reason to be scared of me. I told him, I said, go find you some water. I said, I know that's what you're looking for. You need some water. I don't think they're snapping turtles. I don't think so. Okay, you've seen them. Oh, okay, you weren't there in person, but there you go. Okay, see, that's another thing. That's the other brainwashing behind the news. Yeah, that if you weren't watching, that's what they do to us growing up. The parent, they're trying to, the narcissistic parent playing that role model of making it a top priority to have that news on every single day. So you get conditioned, your subconscious mind, you watching that. And so when you become an adult, you start to believe that, oh, we're supposed to be doing that. And then you do it. And it can be very addicting, but yeah, and then that instills that FOMO, which is fear of missing out. So you used to think that, well, you know better now. Because that's one of the things I was like, oh man, because when I go, let's say I'm going to pick up a takeout for dinner or lunch or whatever, and I'll go somewhere and they've got that telly on, the tell-I-vision, or the tell-a-vision. Whenever they got that on, I was watching one recently, and it had it on the local news thingy, and I'm just kind of like watching. I was like, wow, same old, same old. We ain't missing nothing. It's just same old, same old. So I was like, man, wow. Same old stuff over and over again. I was like, that is nothing new. But they call it the news. Nothing new. The same stuff over and over again. And so, yeah, I can see why well, that's what they want you to do. They want you to develop that fear of missing out, that FOMO. That's what they want. They want you to think that if you don't watch the news that you're missing out on stuff. And I tell y'all, no, you ain't. No, you ain't. Well, now, on the flip side, yeah, you're missing out on a lot of great things from God. You're missing out on the wisdom. You're missing out on God's wisdom. That's what you're missing. But you don't have to be living in fear. But if you're glued to the news and you conform to this world, then yeah, the narcissists are missing out on a lot of God's wisdom, righteousness, truth, spiritual truth. But see, they don't want the truth. Remember, God tells us they're going to be despisers of those who are good, and they are also not going to receive the truth. I'm paraphrasing, but you know what I'm talking about. They are not going to be ready to receive truth. They will buck up and defend the system of narcissism. Because that's what they're conditioned to do. That's what they're brainwashed to do. It's to buck up and defend the system of narcissism. So yes, and when we stop watching it, we realize that we're not missing nothing. We're not missing nothing at all. Hello, Javon. Hello. We're not missing nothing. Turn that news off, and you leave it off for long enough. Yeah, here's some homework for anybody who might still be addicted to that. Okay, I want you to, it really is just entertainment. Change that mindset. Okay, change that mindset about it. Because it is. It's part of the entertainment industry. Go figure. So, and that's all it's for. It's entertainment. But keep people living in fear. So, all part of the narcissist and the game of narcissism and fear-mongering. It's what they want. And so, if you are still glued to that garbage, then here's some homework. Turn it off for a couple weeks. Don't watch none of it for a couple weeks. Stay away from it. And then, turn it back on and tell me they told you something new. So, yeah, ends up in, the waste of money and paper, right? When they used to do the newspapers all the time. Yeah, it's just the same recycled stories over and over again. Year after year after year, decade after decade, they've got nothing new. This is why God tells us in Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9 that, there's be nothing new under the sun. All that has been, all that will be. There's nothing new under the sun. Because the devil's not original. And so, like narcissists, they're good at giving off the appearance of being new, but it is nothing new. It's like, okay, that's why chosen ones learn that we are the co-creators with our creator. We are the original thinkers. You know, there's a lot of people out here with very gifted artistic abilities. And to come up with something new and original, you got to be able to self-think. I mean, you've got to have your own self-thinking ability. And see, if you're glued to that fake news, fear-mongering media, then you ain't going to have your self-thinking. You might think you do, but you don't. Are you co-creating anything? In the meantime, when you ain't watching it, what you doing? Yep, going through that, on that hamster wheel of a routine every single day. Doing the same old, same old. So, like, what are we doing? Like, we're always like, all right, Heavenly Father, what's up? We have our social media content strategy, but what else? And when are we going to switch it up? What are we going to switch it up to? What are we going to do that's new? Well, each and every time we get up here and go live, it's a new live stream. We might touch on similar topics because we all need reminders. That's why we're talking about this today, because the fear-mongering, it can be easy, all right, to get tricked again if you don't pay attention to the fact that that's what they're trying to do. And I got that email and I was like, oh my gosh. And for those who are just now tuning in the very beginning, I shared with y'all the reason being is that the email was trying to tell me they hacked my surveillance system or surveillance camera. I don't have a surveillance camera. That was easy. Y'all gotta watch out for that stuff. Trying to instill fear. Trying to instill fear. Because the likelihood of your device getting anything on it is going to be if someone's in your environment. I learned that. I even had a detective tell me that. And that's his specialty, the tech world. And I said, okay, that makes sense. Because the only reason an ex-psycho roommate got spyware on an old Android is because he was in the environment and he had access to it. Physical access, that is. Because the detective told me if there was no physical access, it's very difficult. Depending on us. So I know that there's all kinds of different pop-ups and tricks and schemes out there, but you become aware of them. But yeah, they sent me an email. And it all started out with, it's like something about apologizing for getting ready to tell me some bad news. Really? Okay. Nice try. But it ain't gonna work. Trying to tell me they got access to my surveillance camera that I don't have. Okay. That's why I was like, no, you didn't. Because I don't have one. Well, right, I know it's like you could have fun with those emails and see if they come to see what they say in response. No. We're not going to play the game. I'm not going to entertain the demon spirits. But I see where you're coming from. I mean, you could, but no. I'm not going to waste God's time on that. And so, yeah, having your self-thinking ability, your imagination, right, it's a quality where anything is possible. Because with God, all things are possible. That's why. With God, all things are possible. So, yeah, we covered quite a bit today regarding the fear-mongering and all of that. And just to be mindful of it. Don't allow anything out here, narcissists or whatever it is they try to do, don't allow them to instill fear. Because, you got to be walking and living by faith. And to do that, you can't be living in fear. So, you got to also remember your ANS. Now, if your autonomic nervous system, your inner child, if it's still traumatized, then it can give off the appearance that you're living in fear because it'll lead to muscle tension and stuff like that. Now, all of that associated with trauma. So, you have to be mindful of that too. So, I know in my circumstance, I'm not living in fear, but my ANS got re-traumatized a little bit. So, it was giving off. I had a lot of, oh man. Yeah, I didn't realize, but I had a lot of muscle tension that was going on here and in the jaw and other places in my body I didn't know about yet. And after that excessive salt and then radio frequency. Right, well, with my ANS responding to me using my hands and all of that. And once I became aware, I was able to go, oh, okay, we're going to work that out. We're going to work that out. And because it was giving off the appearance. That's the other reason why I know that a lot of the Jezebel the narcissists were checking in to see if that was still visible, to give off the illusion I was living in fear. It was giving the illusion as if I was. And I haven't been the entire time, no, but my ANS. See, it's very unique. Okay, but my inner child was responding, and that's what they were looking for, because each time your ANS responds with the fear response, it slows down your circulation. And so when your circulation is slowed down, that means that oxygen's not getting to certain parts of the body where the body needs it the most. The brain, your eyes, throughout your body. So slowing down your circulation also slows down any healing from the radio frequency poisoning and trauma. So keep that in mind, okay? Because the devil's all about appearances. So I know that's what was going on, is that there was a season where before I knew that I had all that, and then the excess water weight that we've been getting rid of, man, let me tell you, I'm still very much intrigued by how much salt a body can hold on to. Oh my gosh, it's phenomenal. How much salt a body can hold on to. It's amazing. I'm like, wow. But see, the only reason a body would hold on to that much salt, what yours truly's been going through, is because of the bruising that the Jezebel case study put in very specific places. And I know exactly why. In the joints. That's right. In the joint, tailbone area, and other places of the body where she put bruises in a very specific spot. And I'm highly aware of it. And I know why. Because I know what nerve, the gluteal nerve, is one that was a big target. She was trying to damage that. So glory be to God. No success there. I have to tell you. But becoming aware of all of that, because that's part of our autonomic nervous system, the ANS. So I know that whenever we got up here or did pre-records or what have you, there was a season there where we may have looked like we gave off the appearance as though we were living in fear because of all that muscle tension from the excess water and my ANS continuously responding. And so now we're slowly but surely getting our ANS to stop doing that because there's no threat. So that. But we're not. We Okay? We stopped living in fear years ago. Okay, you all? When God awakened me to all the narcissism and the narcissistic abuse, and I started to learn how fear was the foundation for abuse, I realized, wow, there's no reason to fear. So, with that in mind, going forward, we learn not to allow anything that we come across that tries to instill fear, like that email, text messages. Slow down and don't jump the gun. That's what they want you to do. That's a phrase, right? Okay, metaphorically speaking. Don't get your panties in a wad. Okay, over that. Just stop and think for a minute. Hold on a minute. Like, oh, they want to tell you that they got access to something that you don't have. And then, like the text message I get trying to tell me that I violated a toll. I got a toll violation, which I don't even I don't drive the toll roads. I have no reason to in this season at the time of this video. So I don't fall for that. I just delete, report junk. Delete, report junk. Trying to instill fear. No. So you got to remember, part of the game of narcissism, that intimidation. They want you to feel intimidated because that gets you living in fear. There's no reason to. We realize that. Because safety is of the Lord. Safety is of the Lord. It's in there. It's in there. I'm looking at the clock. Okay. So, well, okay, if you want to call that, okay, you call it retention. I call it trapped sweat. And yes, that would be salt. So if your nervous system or your physical body has underwent any kind of stress, and then you're exposed to radio frequency excessively, and then you're consuming excessive salts, then yeah, you're going to get some trapped sweat between the muscle and the skin. And so it's just over a matter of time. The real good way of getting rid of that is to sweat. And there are things like I've shared before. Well, yes, there's all kinds of things out here. You can go to your Vitamin Shop, GNC, or all natural, homeopathic stores, all natural stores. There's several of them, different ones. And you can find ointments and other things that can help you induce sweating if you need that, if you need the help. Okay? So there you go. Because that's really the best way to get rid of that trapped sweat in the skin, to sweat it out. And as far as the fear, you're correct. God tells us to fear not. He tells us to not be afraid 365 times in the Bible. That's not a coincidence. So when someone pays on a toll road, now that depends on whether or not they have what they've got here. What I've seen is that it's kind of like when I used to Bluebird. When I used to drive truck, that's all you give. When I was a trucker, back in the day, when I was a trucker, we had what was called Easy Pass. Yeah, okay, we had to get Easy Pass for toll roads as a trucker. And I believe that's accepted on some toll roads here in Florida still, but Florida has what's called Sun Pass, I've noticed. Yeah, they've got Sun Pass. And so what that is, you have that pass, and it's a little thing that you put it in your car. And it's like a scan, it's like a QR code going through. And what happens is, whenever your pass thing, whenever it scans it, okay, the light on the toll thingy, it's kind of like a stoplight. It'll have like the green and red or yellow or whatever, and you'll know which one says you're clear to keep going. So you don't have to stop. So that you would not get a receipt. But if you pay cash, You can always ask for one. Yeah, you can get one. Sure. If there's someone there to give you one. See, that's the thing. So, yeah, but I don't drive to toll roads right now. Not in this season. There's no reason for me to. No, those toll roads are typically supposed to be like to get you somewhere quicker. Really? Yeah, we know how the Matrix, rush of the Matrix, always trying to get somewhere. Oh wait, no, excuse me. Oh, how'd you say it, Chris? They said they always trying to get nowhere fast. Yeah, they're driving down the road and they come zoom by you, and then they get stopped at the stoplight. Here you pull up. Really? Was that necessary? But they are always in a hurry to get nowhere. That's the rush of the Matrix for you. So, nah, if I know it's going to take me about an hour to get somewhere, I'm going to leave in plenty of time. I'm going to leave in plenty of time. I don't need to take a toll road. I don't mind. I know, it's like, because I'll use the maps, and it'll tell me, it's like when I'm getting direction to go somewhere, and it'll tell me, because I have it toggled on to avoid tolls. I'm like, no, I don't need to go on them. It's like I'm not trying to get nowhere fast. I'm not trying to get nowhere fast. I was like, no, I'm good. Just give me this route. And a lot of times what I've noticed when it says this is the quickest route, but it has tolls, it's like by 2 minutes. By 2 minutes? That's it, really? That's a clear, yeah, classic. Trying to get nowhere fast. 2 minutes. I only gonna save 2 minutes. And pay I don't know how much. 50 cents, it don't matter. I don't care. I'll put that 50 cents in my gas tank, thanks. And for the truckers mostly to get where they need to get. Yeah, I would think so too, but they opened up. Well, it's an opportunity that's been open for everybody. And so, okay, yeah. Oh, okay, your dad was a trucker, okay. So you know what I'm talking about too. All right, awesome. And, right, yeah, at the way station. Yeah, the Easy Pass is also in some states here in the United States. In some states, the Easy Pass would, yeah, it was used also to bypass. You could bypass way station with it. Yeah, it just depended on the state and whatnot. And then, of course, if they were doing, now I know when you enter the state of Florida, there is a mandatory agriculture inspection that you have to go into regardless. But I think it's still that way. It was when I drove truck too. So I know that much. And then it just depends. Like I said, it depends on the state and what their so-called toll stuff is. But yeah. And when you have to, right, when you do pay at a toll booth, you should be able to get a receipt, I would imagine, if there's somebody there to give you one. Right, the toy teeth and hair thing. Let me tell you something, also, because I had mentioned it earlier that I do come across those turtles from time to time. Yeah, I come across the turtles from time to time on the walks. And they actually do move faster than you think. Yeah, rabbits too. So when you think of a turtle, if it's just meandering along, yeah. But if it needs to run, oh, it can run. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. We were led to believe that turtles can't move that fast. Oh, yes, they can. So, I saw it. I said, yep, not going to unsee it. Most of the time, they just laying around and kind of like going slow-mo, you know. But if they need to, they can take off. I don't remember what it was. That one just took off. I don't know if it was a sound or what, but it took off running. And I was like, okay. I said, them turtles can move a lot faster than we thought. So there you go. Yep. Okay, all right, just making sure I got all caught up here, y'all. Oh my, check it out, check it out, check it out. Yep, I'm surprised we've gone over an hour so far. And I remember somebody saying a while back, they said, man, where them 2-hour days go? Remember we used to sit up here and go 2 hours? Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, we used to sit up there and go 2 hours. And so another question is, okay, 2.5 hours one time. Oh, that might have been on the PC, because this phone that I'm streaming on right now, I know at best we might make it to 2 hours. We might, but on the computer, I know I can go a lot longer because I'll have it plugged in. But yep. Now I'm not sure what is saccharin. I'm not sure what that is. Is it some sort of ingredient? Let me look it up. And we can tell you. Well, that's what it sounds like to me, because it's okay. It's the artificial sweetener. Okay, it says here it's a non-nutritive artificial sweetener that is 300 to 700 times sweeter than sugar. Oh. No, there's no nutritional value. So really, it's just artificial sweetener that just can be 300 to 700 times sweeter than sugar. Okay, often found in like diet drinks and as a tabletop sweetener under brand name like Sweet and Low. No thanks. Your body's not going to process those first. Your body processes all natural stuff first. Remember that. Yeah, remember that. Your body processes all natural items first. All natural sugars, all natural foods. That's how God designed it. God designed our bodies to digest and process all natural things, not anything artificial. No, nothing artificial. So, yeah, that answers your question. There you go. And mine. Because it's trying to... Okay. Yeah, sugar substitute. And then, of course, it's going to be made of different chemicals. Absolutely. It's going to be made up of different chemicals. So anything that is not all natural is typically going to be chemically formulated. So you have to keep that in mind. All right. So keep on keeping on, everybody. I'm going to wrap it up right there. And listen, when we are combating radio frequencies for healthier living, it helps to know what these things are and to read those labels. Okay. And we don't mind natural sugars and, like honey and stuff like that. But if it's too sweet, oh no. No thanks. No thanks. Just like we start to taste the excess salt in some stuff, we don't want that either. So, because excess salt and excess sugar contributes to the formation of excess mucus, which is what is needed, to go with that salt water in the body and air pockets and all of that. So we break that down periodically here for y'all, and I'm going to give you a demonstration of what I mean by that, of what's happening inside your body whenever radio frequency is outside of the body's range of adaptation. In other words, you've got too much radio frequency going on, you're being poisoned if you've got excess salt inside the body. So if there's too much radio frequency, the body's having a hard time adjusting, then that's when issues emerge. So we have to be mindful of that. That's why we have this going. It's ongoing. The combat, it's our movement in this ministry, because the more aware we become of how different radio frequencies are affecting our bodies, then we can, yeah, we can find the proper self-care. We can make better choices. Go, hold on a second. So we need this nutrient. We need to cut out this kind of eating, and we need to switch over to this, and all kinds of things. We'll start making better choices and resisting the devil, and he shall flee. Yeah, so that's all a big part of it. All of it. Because if we don't have the awareness and the education about it, then we will remain guinea pigs for the Matrix and its radio frequency poisoning. I mean, we're all going to be exposed to it, but it's a matter of whether or not it's going to have the negative intended effect. And like I tell y'all often, the more aware you are of it, the less it will have the intended negative effect on you. Because the devil's time is always short. The devil's time is always short. You got to remember that. All right, so don't forget we've got the fundraiser that is ongoing. And the fundraiser is just another part of funding the ministry, okay? And, you know, the grants, service grants, and the funds for our movement, it all goes to the ministry. And I'm going to be bringing y'all some more stuff. Yes, we had to get some additional things squared away. Gearing up for practice run number 2. And I want y'all to stay with me, all right? Because it's going to be very intriguing. It's very interesting. And I'm looking forward to where God is taking us next. I don't know yet. At the time of this recording, I don't know exactly where. But I know, well, we're executing the 5 Ps. It's like now we got to get things in position. So, yeah. Well, we've done the producing in some ways, but now we got to get in position. So that's why I tell y'all often too, whenever you are ready, you learn how to stay ready. You learn how to stay ready for when God removes whatever it is he's got to remove from our world and uproots us and replants us. Remember that. Okay, so, yes. A new fridge a la Patreon. Oh, ha! Oh. I don't, but I appreciate that, okay? I know what you're talking about. On that story is on the Patreon channel. And I see your comments on the Patreon channel. I'm going to get to y'all. I always do. Thank you for your patience, okay? Always thank you for your patience. We're working stuff out. I want y'all to keep it moving. You know how we talk about that all the time. Keep it moving. Don't let anyone trick you into living in fear once you have overcome. Because remember, God is love. God is perfect love. And perfect love casteth out all fear. Glory be to God. So I want y'all to keep it moving forward. And you can sense it when somebody's trying to do that. Don't listen to it. You can walk away. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your continued support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father. And you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.